Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this very exciting webinar in regards to the Metaverse and together with Sulava and Delegate. And the reason for us being jointly together at this webinar is because we are both part of the Broad Horizon group. We've made a little agenda. Click, next. Welcome, and then a very short introduction on Delegate and Sulava, and then Aki, our main champ on Metaverse, will tell us a little bit about this. And then, of course, we'll have maybe a few minutes for questions and answers. But if you have anything while we are presenting, please just write your questions in the chat, and we will see if we can respond to the questions. Next question. Yeah, thank you. For those of you who do not know who Delegate is, we are a Danish-based consulting company with 3 offices and roughly 200 employees. We work primarily within Microsoft 365 Dynamics, but when we say Dynamics 365, we are talking about CRM part and field service, not the traditional ERP part. And then we work quite a lot with Azure and the Power Platform. Next. And of course, when we say we are good at what we do, we are also, of course, very proud of winning 2 awards from Microsoft this year. Low-code development is the Power Platform, and then the data and AI is, of course, also very nice, which is primarily based out of Asia. But I think this proves that we are quite capable of delivering good solutions to our customers. That said, I would like to give the word to Aki. Please, Aki, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great morning, and I hope you will know a bit more about the Metaverse after this webinar. So it's a pleasure to be here with you. We have been focusing on the Metaverse for something like 10 months now, and it's really picking up the wind in the sails nowadays. So people are talking more and more about it, and when we talk about Metaverse, it's like talking about the internet like back in the 95 or so. Everyone was like interested, but no one knew how it would change things. And I was telling everyone this will change everything. And the thing with the Metaverse is quite similar. It will change everything, and we all are going to use it in a year or 2. And it's going to play a huge role how the businesses are going to collaborate, how we are going to work internally, and especially how we are going to work with our partners, how we are going to sell and build our products and so on. Just a few words about me. I have been a Microsoft partner for something like 26, 27 years. I have worked my whole life in the ICT industry, and of course, I'm the CIO of Sulava, one of the Finnish companies leading Microsoft partner there. Nowadays, we are part of the Broad Horizon with Delegate and 9 other companies. We founded Sulava back in 2010, and we are by far the leading Microsoft Cloud partner here in Finland, and also the leading training partner here in Finland. But that's just very quick details on Sulava. I'm not going to spend too much time here because you are here to learn about the Metaverse, not about Sulava. So let's jump in. And of course, Metaverse is something that Microsoft is betting very much on. It's one of their favorite subjects for Satya Nadella, and they are building quite many things as we speak. And of course, they have already released quite a lot, but there will be so many releases in the upcoming 12 months that you will be surprised. There's going to be, of course, many things inside Teams, but that's only one thing. So you have to remember that the Metaverse, it's not all about virtual classes. It's not all about like augmented or extended reality. It includes almost everything and anything that Microsoft tools that you currently use. And of course, one of the biggest investments Microsoft made, they bought Activision for $69 billion like 6 months ago. And of course, it's all about gaming. But the reason why they bought it, it's actually the metaverse, and they wanted to have more expertise and more experience on how people are doing business and living online. So it's not all about gaming, it's mostly about the metaverse, as Nadella has said himself as well. And that's of course the biggest acquisition Microsoft has ever made. I'm gonna show a small video to you. This will last like 2 minutes, so you know a bit more about how Microsoft sees the metaverse. So as you saw, Microsoft really sees the metaverse as a game changer, and we are already doing some amazing things with our customers. For example, at the City Hall of Helsinki, the capital of Finland, we had a huge presentation there live, and we actually holoported one of our customers from holiday to give a presentation there. So there are quite many things that you can do already, and we have been working with customers in the, we have an office in the Dubai in the UAE. We have been working with like 5 customers there already, and we have like 15 customers here in Finland that we are already using these things live. So it's not something that is going to happen in the future. This is something that you can already do today. And of course, the Microsoft is really much building the metaverse on the existing stack. So of course, we have the digital twins. I'll go back to that, but that's one of the most important things about the metaverse. You need to have a digital twin of everything and anything. Otherwise, of course, you cannot present it in the metaverse. So it can be like 3D model. It can be your data. It can be something captured with cameras. So it can be almost anything. Of course, for example, I have a digital twin of my car. It's a regular Audi, but I do have a digital twin of that, and I own an old Ferrari as well, and I do have a digital twin of that one as well. So these things, they are actually already here. Then we have these connected spaces that you can interact with a physical location in the metaverse world. Of course, we do have HoloLens and other 3D glasses and the mixed reality. We have the whole Power Platform that includes quite many metaverse and augmented reality capabilities already, and Microsoft is building much more every single day. Microsoft Viva is all about putting people in the center and making sure that they can interact with each other. For example, with a couple of our customers, we are already changing completely the onboarding process for new employees, and we are also changing how they learn during their whole career. So there are quite many things you can do with Microsoft Viva and Teams in the Metaverse as well. And of course, Microsoft Loop is a technology where you can build very interactive components inside your tools, your daily tools, whether they are your mobile phone, whether it's your Outlook or Word, whether it's Teams and so on. So you can make new ways of people to interact with each other, even if they are not in the same room. And of course, the mesh for Teams is coming in the upcoming months. That's going to be a complete game changer on how we use Teams, but more about that later as well. Of course, one of the things in the Metaverse is the future of work. So how we work together, how we interact together. And of course, we all know that after the pandemic, people have entirely new ways of working. We all live in the hybrid world. There's going to be much less traveling in the future as well. We are not going to be at the office every single day, not all of us. And of course, the frontline workers are working in different conditions as well. So there has been a huge change already, and the technology is adapting to that, and Microsoft is bringing all new tools how we can work in the future world, in the future hybrid world. And of course, the tools from the past, especially things like your old intranets and email, or the old-fashioned way of using Teams or using your ERPs or whatever solutions you are using, it's not going to be enough for the future. That we know for sure. So we have to find out new ways of working together, new ways of sharing the information with our own customers, our own colleagues, and the partners who we work with. And it's all about enabling a new kind of employee experience. So of course, we used to have these spontaneous meetings at the office, at the coffee machine during the lunch. We had very nice discussions before the meetings and after the meetings, and actually that's where the new ideas usually come from. They don't come in the meeting, they come before or after the meeting, during the people spontaneously meeting with each other. And of course, now, for example, I'm talking to you, you can hear me, you can see the slides, but there's no real interaction. So if we were already in the mesh era, in the Metaverse era, I would see your avatars by now, I could see you raising your hands, and you could see much richer version of me and this presentation as well. And that's how we can actually innovate and collaborate and co-create much better during the meetings. But of course, it hasn't to be like synchronous meeting, it can be asynchronous. We are already doing this with Microsoft, so we are having meetings where not everyone is in the same place at the same time, so we can be in the different time zones. People can be busy with something else, but still we can meet together and work together. That sounds unbelievable, but that's actually something that you can do already today, and with the public releases of these tools in the very soon in the future. And in the new version of Teams, when the mesh comes out, you are going to have like 3 avatars. You can dress them, you can change them. They can represent you even when you are not online yourself. And it's going to be a total game changer. And of course, doing this kind of events or things for your own employees, for your customers, for your partners, it's going to be so much different experience in the upcoming years. There are so many things that you can do virtually, and you can of course combine the real world events with the virtual events. So if you are having a fair, you are giving an exhibition there, you can also do an online version of that as well. So it doesn't have to be limited to that space where you are physically. And of course, as with every new thing, there has to be some new business opportunities. There have to be cost savings. There have to be new ways of being more efficient. There has to be ways to create new business. If you think about the internet back in the 90s, no one knew, me included, what's going to change, how the internet is going to change the world. And of course, nowadays the economics and the business is entirely different as it was 25 years ago. We have so many entirely new players like Amazon or Netflix, renting homes, buying cars, shopping online, going to concerts online, whatever you can name it. It's entirely different than it was 25 years ago. And the metaverse is going to be entirely different experience in the next 10 years. As Nadella was saying, we are going to see more digitalization in the next 10 years than we have seen in the past 40 years. And if you think about the digitalization, almost everything we know today has happened in the past 40 years. So we are going to see some huge leaps in the next 10 years. And it's all about having the digital offices and twins of the office spaces and everything else in the metaverse. It's all about learning and training, constant learning, micro learning for your employees all the time. Of course, I already mentioned the onboarding and the remote support. So when your people are working in the field, or they are working from home, or they are doing something with your customers or your partners, they can get help from your entire staff, and they can see what they are seeing. They can share sales opportunities when they are, for example, fixing something at the customer side or whatever. The potential is like limitless there. And it's all about reimagining the whole business processes. So it's not making a metaverse version of the current processes. That's something you can and should do as well. But it's all about making new things in the new world. And of course, it's all powered by the artificial intelligence and based on your data everywhere, every time. And of course, you are always collecting more data. You are using the AI to analyze it, and it's going to make your data better. It's going to make your processes better. It's going to make your people better. And in many ways, we are saying that the imagination is the limit. So we should open our minds and make sure that we think big enough, and we make sure that we capitalize on this opportunity. But of course, we are always going to have also cost savings and have new kind of business services as models as well. This is, of course, when you talk about the metaverse, this is the easy part because you can visualize this easily. Most of us know a thing or two about augmented reality or virtual reality as well. You know that you can use the glasses to be inside, for example, your factory space in the country far away. You can assist in the, for example, medical operation, even if you are not present. And there are so many things that you can do already. But this is just one version of the metaverse. Of course, people are going to mostly use their current computers, their current mobile devices, their current iPads or whatever. So they don't need to use the glasses. Of course, with the glasses and other upcoming devices, you can do quite many new things, but this is not something that's going to be required. So it's enough if you have the tools that you currently have. But it's all about having the digital twin, about having your data replicated in the metaverse, making sure it's available to everyone, whether it's your office spaces, your buildings, your sites, your stores, your construction sites, your airplane, your car. That could be almost anything and everything. And it's all about meeting your customers and consumers in a different way, because nowadays, because we all know that the travel is it's not going to go to the levels it was before the pandemic. The corporations and single individuals are starting to realize that you have to be able to do more and more in the hybrid world without traveling every time you need to meet someone new or you need to present your new customer or something like that. And it's all about providing experiences and memories. One of our customers said like 1.5 years ago that these Teams meetings and webinars and stuff like that are nice, but they are not an experience that creates new memories. And this is something we have to be able to change, because if you don't create memories, you haven't made any real impact. And of course, the Metaverse is all about that. It's going to be like making these virtual events or virtual meetings or virtual experiences more and more like real world experiences, something that you really want to experience, something that creates a memory.
Aki, we actually have a customer that has thousands of buildings, and we are creating a digital twin as we speak on one building. At some point, they will have all the buildings, and I can really see a use for this since right now they have a big issue on locating certain things within the building, and it's done in a 2D way. So, and that's very hard. It's not easy for them to locate sensors or certain walls within the building. I can really see the Metaverse helping this in a visual way. Really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it's going to be in the future. And some of our customers in construction, they are facing the same challenges, and we are building the digital twins and the models for them. And they are going to be the foundation for everything they are going to use in the Metaverse. Of course, in the UAE, we have some customers who manage very, very complex and large buildings like the shopping malls there or the largest hotels. They are actually nowadays having problem locating their own people inside those buildings because they are so huge. So, for example, in the maintenance in the large hotel, if a light goes out, they are nowadays making like the ticket for that you should change the light, but the electricity people, they can be like 2 miles away from the location, even they are inside the same building. But by using the tools and the 3D mapping and using the sensors, they can optimize how the workforce moves around the building, and they can actually fix things in much quicker way and cost efficient way, and making the actual customers more happy in the real world. So there are so many use cases, as you were saying, but it's all about having the data, having the digital twin, because if you don't have that, in place, you cannot add the sensors, you cannot add the artificial intelligence, you cannot add the user interface. So you have to have your foundation right. Here you can see some pictures from the meetings and gatherings together, and how you can actually work together even if some people are in the hybrid mode, some people are at the office, some people are traveling and using only their mobile devices. But we want to provide them in the very near future very similar experience, even though if they were all in the same room at the same time. So you can use the whiteboard from your mobile device, you can use the virtual whiteboard using the 3D classes, or you can use the physical whiteboard if you are in the room. And this is something that the technology is already in place, but of course the Microsoft Teams, the Mesh for Teams, it's coming out in a couple of months or so. But this is all about, and you have to remember that we are going to have so many other things. It's not just having the avatars there. It's about having the artificial intelligence everywhere. It's about making, for example, translations from different languages automatically real time to another language. It's all about like one can write in Chinese and I can see that in English. So there are so many things that is going to be there provided by the Microsoft 365 and the Dynamics 365. That will happen provided by the AI. It will be entirely automatic, and it's an unbelievable experience because I have been able to see this for the past 6 months or so. And of course, holoporting people to the meetings, having the avatars there of people who are currently sleeping on holidays. So there are so many interesting things things happening that going to be a total game changer for the meetings. And of course, you can have so many different kind of spaces, so you can model your existing offices, but you can also create entirely new spaces. For example, with City of Helsinki, we have created a a virtual model of the City Hall, some of the meeting spaces, some of the familiar areas here in Helsinki, but we are also building entirely new like virtual buildings which have no connection to the real world. So you can do either, you can choose, or you can do both. And for example, the whiteboard, this is something that is very interesting because in many meetings, people still want to work together using the whiteboard. They want to draw together things that they want to co-create together. And if you haven't used the Microsoft Whiteboard recently, give it a try. It's already a very good tool. Nowadays, it has come a long way in the past 2 years. But in the next year or so, it's going to be a game changer for how you interact in the meetings. And it's not all about whiteboard because it can actually pull the data from your other ERP systems, from your human resources systems. It can pull live data from operations in the fields, from your sales or whatever. So it's not at all that everything on the whiteboard needs to be generated by us humans during the meeting. It's something that can be populated before the meeting, so you can see the reports, you can see the financial things there before the meetings, and they are actually live data from your other systems. So as I said before, only the imagination is the limit here as well. And then these avatars, you can nowadays already do your avatars online using various services, and Teams is going to have these capabilities in the very near future, and you can dress them, you can make them look like you if you want to. You can use your PC or mobile device camera for that, but it can be also something entirely different if you want to. And of course, some people, they do have some disabilities and stuff like that, but now they are going to be pretty much equal in the Metaverse, so that's a huge thing for diversity as well. And here are just some real life opportunities. These are things that we are already doing together with our customers. I'm not going to deep dive to these, but these are some actual things that we have already done with several customers in the Metaverse. So the potential is really limitless here. And this is something that we are doing for our customers already. So we can have like executive meeting spaces, for example, for the management teams, the leadership teams, for the board of directors, for the business leaders, the middle management, you name it. So we can have all the meetings there, and it means that you will have all the data in one place. Before the meeting, you can discuss it, you can draw it, you can ask, for example, the CFO to clarify something before the meeting, so you don't have to waste everyone's time during the meeting. And these can be like permanent spaces, or they can be like digital war rooms for when something unexpected happens. You need to work it out pretty quickly, so you can build a digital war room in a matter of minutes and invite all the right people, make sure they have access to all the information, make sure that the information there is updated live when something more happens. You can see the reaction to your actions and so on. So this is something that our customers are already doing, and this has generated some huge interest in new ways of creating these executive meeting spaces for ordinary employees, and especially creating the digital war rooms in the Metaverse. I already mentioned the onboarding and training part. We are doing some Metaverse of Italy experiences, and we are actually optimizing also the physical spaces based on the impact from cameras. So we know how people walk in stores or in diners or in the logistic places like warehouses or construction sites. So we can actually map the physical people there, and we can change something in the physical world, and we can see the results, or we can do simulations based on that data as well in the metaverse only before we change the physical world. And then we of course have remote control devices, and we of course have things like drones that we can use to capture things. We can have like robots or other vehicles that are controlled in the real life by metaverse, and of course giving remote assistance to people who are in different locations or working in the front line. That's super important, and of course getting their feedback and their expertise as well, and of course still the digital twins, they are basis for everything. I'm gonna show you another video very quickly. This is like 2 minutes.
Imagine our
Yeah, I'm gonna say this one more time. So if you are not building the digital twins of your products, of your processes, of your like buildings and other locations, and actually even your employees, you are not going to be able to take the full advantage of the metaverse. And this is something that you should have started already, or if you haven't started, it's really now the time to start it. So it's all about having all the data about the physical locations, about the physical things, about the physical processes and so on. It has to be available because otherwise, of course, you cannot replicate it into the metaverse. Of course, we can use the edge technologies like cameras and other devices to capture the real world, and that's going to help in many ways, but you have to make sure that all the data, all the processes, they have to be like completely computer-based. There cannot be any manual phases, or if they are, they have to be somehow captured to the metaverse, and making sure that your digital twins are up to date, because otherwise you are going to be missing so much information that the artificial intelligence or the real people cannot help you out there in the metaverse either. And of course, the dynamic connected spaces, it's all about bringing the physical locations live in the metaverse. So it could be like your home, or it could be your car, it could be like your retail store, it could be your logistic warehouse, it could be a ship or an airplane or a hospital or anything like that. I'm not gonna deep dive into connected spaces now, but it's a super important element of the metaverse and the Microsoft Cloud and Metaverse offering. I'm gonna skip this video for now. You are going to have this material after the webinar, so you can go through that video as well. It's actually pretty interesting. But of course, the industrial metaverse, it's all about the industry verticals. So in manufacturing, there are so many things that we can optimize and change by having the digital twins and by having more automation, more artificial intelligence everywhere, and combining that with us human beings. In the energy sector, our customers are already doing some amazing things because, of course, you know, the war in Ukraine and the pandemic and everything else, that we really have to like save the energy. The energy is not unlimited anymore, and of course there's more and more things happening in the energy sector, and people are getting more and more conscious about how they consume things and energy. But of course we need to be able to run different kind of simulations in the metaverse, and we need to be able to optimize the energy usage everywhere. Smart places, I have spoken about that already. That's super important, that everything and anything is connected, both in the virtual world and in the real world. Connecting automotive, it's not about only connected cars, it's about connecting every device, wherever you walk, wherever you go, even if you are not driving. But of course, the autos and bicycles and other vehicles, they are super important there. And they are actually a huge part of the metaverse, because whenever we are using some device, people are from one location to other, something is happening that we need to understand in the metaverse as well. This is a huge part, and Microsoft actually nowadays has a whole division of engineers working on the automotive part. And when I still say automotive, it's not about like just the cars, it's about connecting every single device to the metaverse. The retail, it's huge because there are already these huge fashion brands like Philip Klein, Gucci, and some others that are already doing huge fashion shows in the metaverse 24/7. They are selling products for the avatars. And of course, if you think about the themes in the future, if you want to dress your avatar, you can use like the built-in clothes for that avatar. But if you want, you can actually buy some very expensive design clothing for your avatar. The most expensive ones from Gucci I have seen online are worth like 25,000 euros. So it's like 20,000, 400,000 in the day, I think. But anyhow, they are super expensive already, and they are super limited. But that's only one thing to dress your avatar. But the whole retail experience, it's going to be in the metaverse, because when you have a physical pin of, for example, your home, when you are buying some new furniture or some new kitchen devices like oven or something like that, you can be sure that it will actually fit your kitchen. If it's the right model, you can see how it's going to look like in your kitchen and so on. And we are, of course, working with the largest hospitals here in Finland and in the UAE, and of course, other like taking care of the elderly people, making sure that we train our people from kindergarten to the universities. Actually, the universities here in Finland and in the UAE, they are front runners in the metaverse area because, of course, they see all the potential there. But there are so many other possibilities as well. Just to give you some examples, this slide. I'm going to actually skip this because we have already spoken about this. The priority for Microsoft fiscal year 23, that is starting next month. So the fiscal year 23 runs from July 2020 to June 23, using the artificial intelligence everywhere, using the edge devices, using the Azure unlimited computing power. These are some of the highest priorities for the Microsoft for the next 12 months. And here you can see some more real life scenarios. I'm not going to go into these. We usually deep dive to some of these scenarios with our customers in the customer specific workshop. So usually we start planning with any new customer on the metaverse. So we have this like 3-hour introduction to the metaverse. After that, we are going to have some immersive workshop where we pick something like 20-25 use cases, and then we choose like the 3 or 5 most important ones and start doing some proof of concept of those and showing everyone the benefits. It takes like 3 to 6 weeks to build a metaverse roadmap for a new customer. But I have to say one more time, most of these things, they are already available today. They have been available for some months already, some of them, of course, much longer. So this is not something that you can or you have to wait on. This is something that you should and must start doing today. If you are going to start in like next 6 months, you are going to be pretty far behind of your top competition already. So there are quite many tools that are available today, and most of them you actually have the licenses already. You don't have to buy anything new. And this is all built on the technologies you already know, the technologies you already use, things that have been here for decades and some of them for many years. So this is all proven technology. It's not something entirely new. So that's the reason why you can get started very, very quickly. And still you can see this URL. If you go to sulava.com, you will find some more very detailed use cases there. So you can find out more on our website.
Aki, we have a question.
Yep.
Can you see it, or do you want me to read it?
I can actually see it because we are at the end of the presentation and we are almost out of the time as well.
Exactly.
Yes, just give me a second. Actually, can you please read it?
Yes. It sounds like that the metaverse is gonna use quite a massive amount of power. Just like if you compare it to Bitcoin, it also uses quite a lot of power. So do you think this will become an issue, or will the metaverse draw a lot of power?
That's a great question. And actually, I'm going to start with the bridge to the crypto world, because the metaverse, it's actually from the gaming, but it's also from the crypto industry as well. That's where it got invented, and it's based on blockchain and many other things like what Bitcoin is based on. But of course, you have to keep in mind that Bitcoin is like 30 14 years old, 30 years old now. So it's all technology. And of course, it was invented like 15 years ago or so. The things in the metaverse, they are much more modern and they are not using that much computing power. And of course, Microsoft is doing anything and everything they can to reduce the energy consumption. And they nowadays even have this like cloud versions which you can pay some extra to make sure that your energy cost is compensated to the environment. But yeah, it's going to use a huge amount of computing power, but it's also going to automate many things. So it's going to also reduce the power consumption. But this is a real issue, but Microsoft is working on that pretty much.
Thank you, Aki. Since there are no other questions at the moment, and we are up on time, I think I would like to say thank you everyone for the participation, and I hope you enjoyed Aki and talks about the metaverse. It sounds very exciting. Thank you, Aki.
Thank you everyone for joining and hope to meet you in the metaverse or in person and continue the discussions. Thank you everyone and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.